What if jar flip monsters were in Magic the Gathering? You'll see what I mean with Absorbing Jar, a level 3 Earth Attribute Rock flip monster with 600 attack and 500 defense, and the effect Flip. Destroy all set spell and trap cards on the field, then each player draws one card for each of the cards they controlled that was destroyed by this effect. You cannot set any cards this turn. Flip monsters are cards that trigger their effects after being flipped face up. When they are attacked, switch from face down defense position to attack position, or by card effects that reveal face down monsters, as long as it was first set face down in defense position. Converting this card into magic, it may become a 2-cost artifact creature construct with 1 blue and 1 generic, with 2 power and 1 toughness, and the effect Morph. 1 blue, 1 green, and 1 generic. When Absorbing Jar is turned face up, destroy all artifacts and enchantments. Each player draws a card for each permanent they controlled that was destroyed this way. The key word Morph, letting you play a card as a 3 generic cost 2/2 typeless creature, and by paying its morph cost, you can flip the creature face up at instant speed, gaining back its stats, colors, and effects. Absorbing Jar costs 2 converted mana, as that's the standard cost for a 2/1 creature. Its morph cost becomes 6 converted mana if you factor in the additional 3 generic to play the card face down. Being more in line to cards with similar effects, it becomes a construct, as this card is a mechanical jar. It has 2 power and 1 toughness, as I would consider every 500 stat points in Yu-Gi-Oh! To be equivalent to 1 stat point in Magic. Absorbing Jar destroys artifacts and enchantments, as they are non-creature permanents that stay on the field with additional effects. I didn't include the restriction preventing you from setting cards face down, since players in Magic don't need to set cards on the field to activate card effects during their opponent's turn. It has a blue cost, since blue is the color that draws the most, and it has a green cost, since green likes to destroy artifacts and enchantments. The next jar up is Dice Jar, a level 3 light attribute rock flip monster with 200 attack and 300 defense, and the effect both players roll a 6-sided die. The player with the lowest result takes damage equal to their opponent's roll times 500. If the winner rolled a 6, the loser takes 6,000 damage. If the rolls are the same, both players roll again. Converting this card, it may become a 1 red cost artifact creature construct with 1 power and 1 toughness, and the effect Morph. 1 red. When Dice Jar is turned face up, each player rolls a 6-sided die. Dice Jar deals damage equal to the highest result to all players with a lower result. If the highest result was a 6, Dice Jar deals double damage. Its morph cost is 1 red, since it essentially costs 4 converted mana, and you're giving up a 2/2 creature for a 1/1 and the chance to damage yourself, since you still have to win the dice roll. I didn't include the clause for ties, since in Magic it is common to have up to 4 players in a single game. It has a red cost, since red is the color that deals effect damage the most. The next jar to be converted is Dimension Jar, a level 2 dark attribute machine flip monster with 200 attack and 200 defense, and the effect Flip. Both players can remove from play up to 3 monsters from their opponent's graveyard. Converting this card, it may become a 1 white cost artifact creature construct with 1 power and 1 toughness, with the effect Morph. 1 white, 1 generic. When Dimension Jar is turned face up, each player exiles up to 3 target cards from an opponent's graveyard. Its morph cost is 5 mana, as it lets you exile up to 3 cards from any opponent's graveyard, as long as you're fine with them exiling cards from your graveyard too. It also lets you exile any card, since you're paying 5 converted for this effect. Dimension Jar has a white cost, since white is the color that exiles cards the most. Now, I already converted Morphing Jar in my other video, converting flip monsters into magic, so I've got the next best thing with Morphing Jar number 2, a level 3 Earth Attribute Rock Flip monster with 800 attack and 700 defense, and the effect flip, shuffle all monsters on the field into the deck. Then each player excavates cards from the top of their deck until both players excavated the same number of monsters they shuffled into their main deck. Special summon all excavated level 4 or lower monsters in face down defense position. Also, send the remaining cards to the graveyard. Converting this card into magic, it may become a 2-cost creature ooze with 1 red, 1 generic, with 2 power and 2 toughness, and the effect Morph, 2 red, 2 generic. When Morphing Jar number 2 is turned face up, each player shuffles all creatures they control into their library. Each player reveals X number of cards from the top of their library. Manifest all creatures with mana value 4 or lower, and the rest into the graveyard, where X is the number of non-token creatures shuffled into the library this way. The keyword manifest, letting you place a specified card onto a battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature, similar to a morphed creature, with the only exception being that you pay the creature's entire mana cost, since they don't have an alternative cost to flip the card face up. Morphing Jar number 2 becomes an ooze, as it's this black liquid-like creature that lives in this jar. Its morph cost is 7 converted mana, as there's this card called Collision of Realms, a 7-cost sorcery spell with the effect each player shuffles all creatures they own into their library. Each player who shuffled a non-token creature into their library this way reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a creature card, then puts that card onto a battlefield and the rest on the bottom of their library in a random order. While Morphing Jar number 2 costs 1 more red to cast, the fact that you can activate this card at instant speed makes this an excellent disruption option, though it only affects creatures. Morphing Jar number 2 has a red cost, since red surprisingly has cards that warp the entire board state if you have the mana to cast them. The next card to be converted is Cobra Jar, a level 2 Earth attribute reptile flip monster with 600 attack and 300 defense, and the effect Flip, special summon 1 poisonous snake token, a level 3 Earth attribute reptile token with 1200 attack and 1200 defense. When the poisonous snake token is destroyed as a result of battle, inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent's life points. Converting this card into magic, it may become a 2-cost snake with 1 green and 1 generic, with 2 power and 1 toughness, with the effect Morph, 1 green, 1 generic. When Cobra Jar is turned face up, create a 3/3 green snake creature token with, when this creature dies, deal 1 damage to each opponent. It has a 5 converted morph cost, since it relatively retains its stats while summoning another evenly statted creature. Cobra Jar becomes a snake for obvious reasons. It has a green cost, since snakes are a creature type most common in green. The last card we will be converting is Cyber Jar, a level 3 dark attribute machine flip monster with 900 attack and 900 defense, and the effect Flip, destroy all monsters on the field. Then both players reveal the top 5 cards from their deck. Then special summon all revealed level 4 or lower monsters in face up attack position or face down defense position. Also add any remaining cards into their hand. If either player has less than 5 cards in their deck, reveal as many as possible. Converting this card into magic, I would make it a 2-cost artifact creature construct with 1 black and 1 generic, with 2 power and 2 toughness, with the effect Morph, 1 black, 1 green, 1 generic. When Cyber Jar is turned face up, destroy all creatures. Each player reveals the top 5 cards of their library. Put all creature cards with mana value 4 or lower from among them onto the battlefield and the rest into your hand. Cyber Jar's converted mana cost is 7, since it destroys all creatures on the battlefield. And even if you don't summon any creatures, you still draw 5 cards. It has a black cost, since you're destroying all creatures on the battlefield, as well as drawing cards, both things black likes to do. And it has a green cost, since you're not only revealing the top cards of your library, but putting them directly onto the battlefield, an effect regularly done by green. If there's anything I should have changed, or any ideas on cards I should convert next, Please let me know in the comments below, and if you like this video, you should check out this one where I converted Yu-Gi-Oh's field spells into Magic the Gathering.
How many people here are aware there are actually 3 summon methods? It's not just normal and special, there is one more. It's flip summon, specifically referring to while you have a face down defense position monster on your field, flipping it face up on your turn by choice. That is a flip summon. It is a distinct thing from normal and special summon. They just have not referred to it, I'm pretty sure, in years in Effectex.